Liked by the sound of violence. All right, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
We are back to go ahead and continue our Sound of Violence podcast MMA awards, show awards.
Sure, yeah, with all those words. I believe it's technically the 2019 or the Sound of Violence 2019 MMA Podcast Awards.
Yes,
some variation on that. So we actually have a couple categories left over. It was getting hectic over on both of our sides, so we decided that was a good break point, which I think it was. I think after the clip segment was actually worked out well. So we are back with the last couple categories, and then we're going to do our top 10. I do feel like these categories are going to go a little bit quicker.
Especially this next one.
Right. Which, as you guys can see on screen, because we got this dope streaming setup today, that is part of the reason why girlfriend Karen was yelling at me earlier, because I had to do all this. And so we're going to go ahead and get into best Patreon/paid content. And this is going to be any kind of subscription-based, paid, like paywall-based MMA content. And what I've done is, if it's a Patreon, or like a paywall, I've combined all that content into the same thing. So, like, for example, for Between Rounds, I'm not going to say Fight Court with King Mo as a separate thing from Beatdown After the Bell, from the Between Rounds Roundtable, because it's all under the same banner for Patreon. And we're not only doing Patreon, because a couple of these are actually on Rockfin and Podbean and The Athletic as well. So why don't we go ahead and, Chris, you want to read off the nominees?
Yeah. So what we got here, as I'm fumbling everything. So you said the nominees for best Patreon/paid content.
Yep.
We have Funky and FRB show, hosted on Rockfin.
Yep.
Our MMA show, hosted on Podbean. MMA Roasted, Rockfin. Gross Point Blank, The Athletic. Between Rounds, co-main event podcast. Gorgeous George and the Goes show on MMA Junkie. Heavy Hands.
It's everything's Patreon from The Athletic down. So Between Rounds is Patreon, co-main, etc.
Heavy Hands, Punch Drunk Sports, and Severe MMA.
Yeah, and so I think I am the one that's subscribed to most of these. So I don't know that you've listened to a lot of these.
I have subscribed to zero Patreon. I am not a patron at all.
Yeah,
we
got to fix that in 2020, my dude.
Yeah,
because there's some really good content out there. I'm immediately removing Punch Drunk Sports because it's barely MMA related, apart from the fact that Jason Tebow, got in a street fight within the last couple weeks and did sidekick a dude in the knee.
Oh, cool.
And tried to take his back, but then fucked himself up doing it. They also, of course, they've had Mickey Gall on a bunch of times. It's the show hosted by Ari Shaffir. It's the show hosted by Sam Tripoli, Jason Tebow, and the Fight Nanny, and then sometimes Ari Shaffir shows up and shows his dick to everybody.
Nice. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, or Bleeding Asshole. It really is just depends on how Ari's feeling. So yeah, it's a thing, unfortunately. So I'm taking Punch Drunk Sports off because it's not MMA related enough. Where do I start on these? So MMA Roasted, I'm gonna pull. I like what MMA Roasted has been putting out. Like what Adam's been putting out on Rockfin has been good. The problem is his labeling, and his release schedule makes things confusing. It's hard to tell what is Rockfin content versus what is podcast content. And then he also will go through sometimes and he will post Rockfin content from a while ago on his actual podcast page, but he won't label it as such, so it's very hard to tell. And so I'm pulling it for that reason. It's been good, but I don't think it's going to hang with the rest of these. I'm going to be honest. I think this comes down to 3 of these, 3.5. I'll go ahead and, you know what? Since this is mostly all me, I'm going to go ahead and start doing this.
Yeah, like I do know, as much as I would want to, I'd be lying.
You've heard a little bit of co-main event stuff. You've heard a little bit of between rounds of stuff, like over at my place. You've heard a little bit of Severe MMA stuff. I know we've talked about it in the past, and I've showed you some of their stuff, like when we were hanging out. I definitely didn't illegally send it to you. We were hanging out, and I showed it to you. But our MMA show, I'm going to cut on Podbean just because Podbean's release thing is kind of weird, and they've been having some trouble with it. And also, I haven't listened to enough of it, honestly, if in all honesty, to give it any kind of top seed. So if you guys have listened to a bunch of MMA or our MMA show, I should say, and it is really good, please let me know and let me know what episodes to catch, and I'll go back and look into those. But I just haven't listened to enough of it to put it on there. Funky FRB show, I'm going to cut. I like Funky FRB show a lot. It does remind me a lot of the old school filthy FRB show. But Funky and FRB, again, the release schedule has been pretty solid. Rockfin, I like Rockfin. The problem I have, and I guess it's really just probably it being a young service, but like I have to go to rockfin.com, as far as I know, and then remember to do that every week to listen to those shows rather than just getting an RSS feed like something like Patreon does, which is a huge difference. And so that's been kind of tough. Gorgeous Georgian Ghost show, I'm going to cut. I like it a lot. It's still very young. It feels like they're still trying to figure out what they want to do with it. This is, of course, Gorgeous Georgian Ghost from the MMA Junkie Radio show, who recently, after MMA Junkie Radio, I'm not going to say died, but completely changed formats and release schedule and everything. It went from being a 2-hour daily show, weekday show, to a 30-minute kind of randomly released I think it's once a week show. It might be a couple times a week. I don't know. It's severely hurt that show, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm gonna bring that one out of the top discussions, mostly just because I don't think it's gonna hang with the rest of these. Just release schedule wise, it's pretty young. They're still kind of ironing out a lot of the kinks. Richard Hunter has been guesting on it, and he has some experience with Patreon, so it's definitely cleaned it up a bit. But I'm gonna cut that one. Gross Point Blank on The Athletic is so fucking good, but I don't know that it hangs with the rest of these. Also, it's weird. I guess the real reason why I'm cutting it is because, as far as I can tell, they haven't been super clear about the fact that the podcast version that you can get of Gross Point Blank, just like in regular iTunes or whatever podcast player you use, is a edited version of the full show. Like, they'll generally cut one of the 2 segments and post that. But I haven't heard a lot of it specifically saying that, either on the podcast side or on the athletic side. It's mostly just I happen to notice the lengths of the episodes are 30 to 40 minute difference between the between the podcast version and the athletic version, which it's fine if you do that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm a subscriber to the athletic thanks to another Patreon we'll talk about here in a second, but I just don't I don't think it I don't know, it's weird that they don't make that more clear. And I like Grosse Point Blank a lot. It's pretty new. Well, that's not true at all. The new format on The Athletic is pretty new. It's a very similar version of what he was doing on Sherdog Radio Network back in the day. But again, compared to these other ones, it's not going to hang. And unfortunately, that's also why I'm cutting Heavy Hands. I love Heavy Hands. I really like their Patreon content. They do a lot of... like if it's a really stacked card, a lot of times they'll do the top, like for example, this giant card that happened in December with 3 title fights. They did the 3 title fights on the main show, and then the Patreon show they did alongside it was all the interesting undercard stuff they want to talk about. And I really like that format. It's just it's few and far between when they release stuff. I know Connor's also been going back and doing some boxing commentary stuff that he's been putting up, which is pretty cool. And they've had some interesting discussions and stuff like that on there, but I don't think it hangs with these top 3. And this is the real fucking Sophie's choice. We got, so far our top 3, we got Between Rounds Radio, Co-Main Event Podcast, and Severe MMA. And holy fuck, have these 3 shows, or these 3 Patreons put out incredible content this year. Between Rounds has had a very up and down year. They started off really strong with Jordan Breen show's return. There was Collapse MMA. The Outsiders was really consistent. Actually, even at the beginning of this year, we did have God, I got distracted. Beginning of the year, we did have the Outsiders, which was Josh Gross and Jeff Sherwood had a podcast that they did together. On the Between Rounds Patreon. And so that was really good. Unfortunately, that ended when Josh went to The Athletic. But they're still putting out great content. They've actually ramped it back up towards the end of the year with new shows like Fight Court, which is so fire with King Mo. TJ Santos, of course, is the producer behind all this. The famed producer from Sherdog Radio Network, who... hands down, we don't have a best producer award because it's TJ every year forever since the fucking 2010s or whenever he started at Sherdog. It wouldn't even be close. I would just feel bad for Chris the producer. Is basically all. That's all.
He's up there. He's up there though.
He is. He would be in my top 5 probably, but god damn it, it's TJ DeSantis and it's not even fucking close.
Or maybe Jamie Vernon from Joe Rogan's podcast, who else is up there?
I do like Young Jamie. Young Jamie does not make the list of top MMA producers.
Yeah.
Shannon with the tits might make.
Jesus,
I'm just kidding.
No, dude. Clearly, it's Mike Harrington or whatever.
Dude, honestly, Mike Harrington would probably make it above Young Jamie, but mostly because Young Jamie's fight knowledge, while it's good, luckily he has a computer in front of him. It's better.
There's more left to be desired.
It's better than Red Band. I'll put it that way. So I mentioned that they have Between Rounds has Fight Court with King Mo. They also have Dean Thomas has been doing a show called MMA Math that's really interesting of him breaking down stuff. They've had some incredible roundtable shows, which is where they preview a card with a bunch of panelists, guys like Ant Walker in the past. I believe this year was a lot of guys like Dean Thomas, Jeff Sherwood, of course TJ DeSantis, Jack Encarnacion from formerly from Sherdog and also from the Laps Fan podcast, who's maybe one of the greatest hosts in all of MMA podcasting. And that's been fantastic. Also, the Beatdown After the Bell episodes they've been doing have been very fucking good. And also TJ's been reintegrating somewhat with the Sherdog Radio Network and kind of, I believe it's generally released as non-ad driven versions of the shows. And then also MMA Stories, which I've talked about a bunch of times, hosted by Jeremy Horn and Monty Cox. One of the best shows around, and one of the most slept on shows for sure. So they've been putting out great content. The only reason why I don't think I can put them in the top is because there was a big gap. Like TJ's had a bunch of ups and downs with people either leaving or joining or almost joining and then not quite joining or some because MMA personalities are flaky as fuck. There have been some people who start a show and then they realize after they have a kid a couple weeks later that maybe they can't keep doing that show consistently. That kind of shit happens, and it's not on TJ. I 100% recommend everybody subscribes to Between Rounds. You're doing MMA podcasting wrong if you're not subscribed to Between Rounds on Patreon. Chris, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, right.
It's honestly some of the best content around, and yeah, I don't think they're going to make the top one, but I want to give them big, big love because I'm a huge fan. And also, I heard rumors that Collapsed MMA, which is a show where TJ DeSantis and formerly Jordan Breen would go back and basically do a deep dive on old MMA cards similar to the Lapsed Fan podcast, which go listen to that. It's all up in your ass and it's incredible. It's a weird reference that only people who listen to that show would get. Patterson, get in here. And let's see. So anyway, yeah, go subscribe to Between Rounds. It's fucking great. But I think this comes down to either Between Rounds or Severe MMA. Co-Main Event or Severe MMA. Co-Main Event podcast ramped up their output a crazy amount this year.
Were they the ones whose Patreon had to do with like Deadwood?
So I'm not include. So that's part of what. That's something I'm considering in this is they ramped up their Patreon content, but some of that Patreon content is not MMA related. For example, they originally did the entire, they did a commentary, not a commentary, they did a, what's the right way to phrase it? They did episodes, like, not commentary episodes, but like episodes in review for every episode of Deadwood, where they basically sit down and talk about, they watch an episode of Deadwood and then they sit down and talk about all their favorite shit and why Deadwood's the best, which hard to argue with. It's really fucking good.
I still never finished that show, man.
Me neither. I need to do it. They also still need to do The Wire. I would like to put that in the universe. God damn it. Do The Wire already. Fucking Omar is coming and they can't stop it. But so they did that, and then after they got through Deadwood, they started doing weekly or bi-weekly, meaning once every other week. I hate how bi-weekly doesn't make sense.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Twice monthly, they were doing basically the same kind of thing they did for Deadwood, but for movies. That basically Chad and Ben would both pick a movie, and then they let the Patreon listeners vote on which one they want to hear them talk about. And then they sit down and watch the movie and talk about it afterwards. And it's really good, but it's not at all MMA related. So that is a good portion of their content that I am not considering for this, and I want that to be clear, which is I don't know. The rest of their content's been really good. Aside from that, they do two weekly MMA shows aside from the regular Co-Main Event podcast, which is the Co-Main Event live chat on Wednesdays, where they take comments on The Athletic, and they just kind of have a live chat. Fernando Praches drops in a lot of times, talk shit to Ben. It's really great. It's a fun one. It's, again, sometimes not MMA related, because it's just a live chat, so they're just answering whatever comes up. Mostly it is MMA related, but sometimes they'll be talking about whatever books Chad's been reading or whatever. And then on Fridays, they do their the Co-Main Event Power Hour Power Rankings. A fucking ridiculous name. But they've been doing those consistently, where basically they pick a topic and do some commentary on it, like an MMA related topic, and then they'll do a top 10, I believe it's top 10 stories kind of from the week that they want to talk about. And that's cool. I actually really like the Power Rankings episodes. And then aside from that, they also did some live streams of cards, specifically the Affliction Day of Reckoning card, where they're both wearing Affliction gear, and Danny Downs, shouts out to the homie Danny Downs, who we met, sent Chad and Ben a bunch of beers that neither one of them understand because they don't get craft beer. It's a lot of Chad not understanding why he's drinking the Caribou Lou from Boulevard Brewing. It's like, why would you just not understanding why people would make that beer? Also, it's a lot of Ben trying to figure out what Duvel is, which is fucking great. Dude went to college in San Diego and somehow does not know anything about craft beer, but knows a fuckload about Natural Light. So,
God damn it.
Sounds like a state kid if I ever heard one, right?
Yeah, that and you've been iced, bro.
Yeah, 100%. It's all in that same vein.
Andre, I almost I don't care, but I almost feel sorry for anyone who's any kids are rushing frats and shit nowadays, because now it's White Claw. Oh, you mean Claude?
You know how much better White Claw is than Natural Ice? It's so much better. It's a way better product.
Well, no, I'm not comparing to Natural Ice. I guess I'm talking about shitty light beer.
Dude, it's better than a lot of shitty light beer.
Yeah. White Claw, I guess I shouldn't hate White Claw. I've drank it before. It doesn't bother me. It just doesn't taste like anything.
No, it's mildly pleasant.
Yeah.
It's not.
You're going to be down to try fucking Bud Light Seltzer?
Oh, dog, you already
know. About that. You know what we should do, or we should not do? Well, let's do it. We need to do... You know what? I'm going to do it. Fuck it. So, just to plug everyone, UFC 246 at my house. I'm not giving you my address, don't worry.
Weekend? Oh, no. By the
Next
way,
week.
Chris lives at... oh, god damn it.
That's going to go...
No, I was going to give out the fucking... what is it? It's not A642. What the fuck is... Keep going.
No, fuck off. My point is, yeah, let's do a hard seltzer tournament of beer pong. It's seltzer pong.
You guys can see Chris at 212 Van Dyke Street, Bisbee, Arizona, 86203.
When I think of that,
Shank when you get there.
If I were to guess whose address it is that Doug Stanhope?
Yes, 100%. Okay. He gives it out all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway, what were you saying?
Yes, I will be there with Doug Stanhope, and we'll be playing seltzer pong. Actually, okay, be real. Is that a terrible idea? Should I just still do shit like beer?
Seltzer pong is a great idea that we should never do.
Yeah, because that's just kind of embarrassing. Wait, you played what?
No, seltzer pong sounds fine, but there's a better way to. There's a better.
Yeah, it's not worth it, because especially when you have people over, a seltzer is kind of like a vibing drink anyway. So you're kind of already just drinking and just be kind of.
Yeah, dog, stay vibing.
Stay vibing. Yeah, I'll just keep using fucking just Coors or Crud Light.
Yeah, no, that checks out. So I have been leading all this best Patreon/paid content up to basically say that obviously Severe MMA is the winner of this. It's not even close. Well, that's not true. I really like the content that Between Rounds and the Co-Main Event Podcast has been putting out. They've both been putting out excellent content. They've been putting out a lot of it. But Shawnee fucking Podcasts with the Severe MMA goddamn stuff he's been putting out it's unrivaled. It's not fair. I'm not even including this in the reasons why, but he did just put out a big episode with a judge, an MMA judge, talking about, I believe it's Ben Courtledge. I'm probably fucking up his name because I'm trying to pull it off the top of my head, but he's a famous MMA judge, been around for a long time, and he's been talking to him about kind of judging and how it works, and God damn it, Shawnee Podcast is putting out good content. Everything from, he started a new show called Let the Record Show, which he's doing breakdowns, basically going through talking about fights that are coming up and looking just solely based on fighters' records. He's also doing shows like just one-offs where he's talking to an expert or an analyst about something specific that he finds interesting. Sean is doing just all kinds of crazy. Here, let me just pull up. He does the rewatch where he shouts out to Becky Lynch for, I believe, being the intro on that. It's fucking cracks me up every time. I don't even care about pro wrestling, but it's a great intro. it's so fucking good. It's so good. Right, the rewatch where he goes back and watches old fights of upcoming cards and kind of analyzes it that way. Jesus Christ, I can't even. There's probably too many for me to mention at this point because he has so much content that he's putting out constantly, and there's multiple shows he's doing. He does betting segments where he goes through betting cards, or where he goes through like odds and gives picks, and stuff like that. Oh wow, I just realized that's on camera when I'm scrolling through this. There you go. Let the record show. He does you get the podcast early access as well. He did career retrospectives on fighters, guys like Mirko Cro Cop. We talked about the rewatch. There's the judging with Ben Cartledge. He does Q&As. He does it's the best. It's the best. I have a feeling TJ DeSantis is coming for his fucking throne here shortly, because TJ DeSantis seems like he's ramping up hard for 2020 with a lot of really good content. But god damn it, Severe MMA, Shawnee Podcast 100% wins this category for best Patreon this year.
There you go. Congrats to Shawnee Podcast.
That's right.
Severe MMA.
Yeah, Shawnee Podcast, a.k.a. the Pod God, a.k.a. I feel like there's more AKAs, but I always mix them up. I also, shout out to the Pod Gods podcast with my buddy Gio and Lax, dude. I still remember y'all. Oh yeah, I just spoiled, by the way, on screen. We had an award for most consistent. John Morgan has officially taken this award and just made it not winnable for anyone else. I don't know if you guys heard the MMA Roadshow episode that he did. We tweeted about it. I believe it was 2 weeks ago or something like that. They have never missed a week. Chris, did you know that?
Which one?
The MMA Roadshow?
Oh, I think you told me that, because remember there's an episode where John Morgan was sick.
Yes. John Morgan was sick as fuck. They've never missed a week on that show. I'm not talking a fight week. I'm talking a week. And goddamn John Morgan comes on, sick as a dog, does like a 45 minute episode, and then basically says at the end of the episode, like, hey guys, I know this isn't like a full episode, so unfortunately the end of our run has come. Like, we are no longer, we finally made it to a week where we didn't put out a full show. And it's like, motherfucker, that was a full show. I don't know what he's talking about. We listen to a lot of podcasts. You put out a 45-minute show, even if you're sick, and even if it's abridged, that's still an episode, my dude. And John Morgan officially has won the award for most consistent podcast ever, and it's not close. And congrats to John Morgan for forever winning that award, because we're retiring the shit out of it after that. Let's see. So we got most informative up next, which I'm really excited about.
So the nominees for most informative are Anakin Florian, Eugene S. Robinson's show The Showstopper, Fights Gone By with your boy Jack Slack, Fits in a Fighter, Half the Battle.
Yeah, Half the Battle. It's is Half the
with Shaq and Levi.
Yeah.
Heavy Hands.
Oh, MMA. Yeah, there you go.
MMA by the Numbers, the MMA Roadshow, who we just talked about with John Morgan. MMA Vivisection, Protect Your Neck with Dan Tom. Severe MMA Patreon with Shawnee Podcast, Sean Sheehan. Show Money with John Nash and the other guy whose name I forget. I'm sorry.
Paul Gift and Jason Cruz.
Or it's Cruz. Okay, not John Nash. He was on Show Money.
No, it's all three. It's John Nash, Paul
it is
Gift,
all three.
And Jason Cruz, yeah.
The Weekly Scraps with Aljamain Sterling weighing in. I forgot who that is.
John Morgan. Big John McCarthy and then, Josh Thompson.
And then, actually with Fernanda Proches, right?
Yep.
No?
Yeah, you got it right. Although you might have butchered her name. I'm not sure. I still have a panic attack every time I say it.
Wait, like you don't know it either?
No, I know it. I believe it's pronounced Fernanda Proches, but...
That's what I was saying, Proches.
But it depends on which... Anyway, I'm going to...
Well, yeah, if I actually do the accent. Yeah, no, I get it.
She explained it on an episode. and I had it down, but then I tried to say Prates
Sorry,
apostrophe S.
Fernanda. I do not speak Portuguese.
Yeah, no, definitely. So this is a weird category. This is most informative, and it's a fucking eclectic mix. And the reason why is I included. I feel like by most informative, how I built this category, and I feel free to add any or argue with me on any of these. It's mostly what I chose was either technique breakdown stuff or technique preview stuff. Anakin Florian is on there because of pronunciations, which is super informative and helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Eugene S. Robinson Showstomper is on there because of he is the one person in MMA media who will say whatever the fuck he feels and is not worried about, let's say, Irish libel laws for one instance, along with a nipplegate and a whole bunch of other things.
So do you mean slander? Well, because slander is spoken, libel's written, but you know what I mean. I'm just being smart.
I guess it's both technically, since I
So
believe
both.
he wrote and I mean, if you look at his Twitter,
I was gonna say if you're getting libel, that means he wrote some nasty shit.
He's not getting anything because Irish law does not pertain to the U.S. and he's not going to Ireland anytime soon. But fights gone by, of course, technique breakdown, fits in a fighter, informative just in probably some of the most in-depth one-on-one interviews I've heard. I would argue it's way more informative than Rogan's podcast in that kind of a similar format.
Yeah.
Half the battle is all breakdown and technique stuff. Heavy hands, breakdown technique stuff. MMA by the Numbers is a show that's entirely stat driven. It's been off and on here and there. I hope it continues in 2020. Seems like it's right on that like bubble where it might not, but dude does insane amounts of research on all the stats behind all the fights and kind of gives his picks based on those stats, which I really enjoy. MMA Roadshow, I feel like I added as most informative because it goes through and it's consistent interviews with people on Fight Week talking about Fight Week. It's interviews with, of course, because John Morgan has hella access. It's interviews with guys like Dana or Hunter Campbell or people directly with the promotion, breaking news kind of stuff. MMA Vivisection preview as a motherfucker. Dan Tom's Protect Your Neck preview as a motherfucker. Severe MMA Patreon, kind of a blend of all things. Whether it's career retrospectives or technique breakdowns, all that stuff, it's all on there. Show Money, which is the podcast that essentially is them and Josh Gross. I should have added actually, I'm going to add Gross Point Blank right now to this list. Gross Point Blank, because Josh Gross has been doing not only a bunch of informative interviews with fighters and about the business of fighting, but also he was one of 4 people in MMA media, including the entire Show Money cast, to be at the trial, or not the trial, but the hearings in Las Vegas about the antitrust lawsuit that John Fitch and Kungle, as Eugene S. Robinson refers to him, and a bunch of other people are involved with. And that's why Show Money's on here. Show Money, they are the premier show. If you want to hear anything about financials, about the UFC, about the Endeavor business dealings, about One Championship, basically anything on the financial side or the law side of the sport, they are the number one source. It is ridiculous nobody talks about this show more. It's fucking insane the work they do for no goddamn credit. And also, one time Jason Cruz had a triple Hennessy, and it was great. The weekly scraps, technique breakdowns, Aljamain Sterling's great at them. Weighing in with John McCarthy. He is really just a fantastic resource, and I miss hearing from John McCarthy about his feelings on the sport. I feel like that motherfucker has been through so much stuff in this sport that his voice needs to be around. I feel like it's just good for everyone to have John McCarthy's voice out there. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it. I sometimes do both. I often do both. But I feel like it's important to have him around saying stuff out loud about the state of things and what could be improved or what is good. I find it important. And then, well, actually, in kind of a similar vein, Fernando Proches is bringing up topics and conversations that no one else is. I often find out I'm doing or saying things that are very not, we'll say, not preferred. We'll say I'm accidentally way more coarse and fucking, I don't know. I'm way more of an aggro white dude about things in my phrasing than I probably should be, and I should probably think more carefully about that. And I really like that show because she is bringing up those kinds of topics that I feel like we don't really hear. Like, I don't hear a lot of discussions on just kind of fucked up cultures in MMA and how they're just not, if they are addressed, they're addressed offhandedly. And so I think that she's doing the kind of podcasting that very few people are. And so thought that deserved to be in the informative, because honestly, I learn shit from that podcast every time I listen to it. So, all right. So Chris, how do we make sense of this fucking thing?
So, like, when you think informative as in...
It could be really... It's up to us, however we want to do it. Like, it could be
some of these I've never
things.
really listened to ignorantly. I like UGS Robinson, but I've never listened to Showstopper.
Really? Well, so if you've heard If I Did It, it's similar to his takes on If I Did It. But if you were to blend a lot of Nazi references and allegories with that, which checks out.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I like Protect Your Neck as informative. I like Vivisection up there as a finalist.
Yep.
I'd probably say Eugene S, but then again, I haven't seen Showstopper. He's just informative because he's very articulate.
Oh, you're gonna call the black dude articulate? You're gonna do that move?
Sure, right? Yeah, let's play the race card. Fun.
Problematic, my dude.
Yeah. But
no, you're right.
If I'm being honest, anyone that's articulate, I'll call him articulate.
He went to fucking Stanford. He's a writer. He's very articulate. Yes.
Dude, the guy rocks his fucking gray hair. Like, I already know when I see someone like that, especially with gray streaks. I'm like, well, this dude's clearly really smart. Doesn't give a fuck. He's just having part of his hair be good. That's when I see shit like that.
Oh,
they're
sure.
very. That's just.
I would say the other one that has to be on here, 100%, is Show Money.
Yeah.
Because no one's covering the sport like they are, and if you base it on the jokes that they make during that show, I am one of 5 listeners, and it blows my goddamn mind that everybody doesn't listen to this every time it comes out, because the lawyers for the fucking UFC listen to it, because they talk about it in court.
Of course they do.
So it blows my mind.
I think Fights Gone By should be like one of the last ones on here.
Sure.
Yeah, because as far as Vivisection, I feel like it's either that or Heavy Hands, and I would probably go Vivisection.
Yeah, for informative, I would go Vivisection, because like they know shit about these dudes' records that you have to look deep on.
Other than that, I don't know which one. If you want to add anything else or just describe from these,
I think we can go from there. I do want to give big shouts though to Fits in a Fighter and MMA by the Numbers. I feel like, and well, actually, but especially MMA by the Numbers. That is a show nobody is doing, and it's really interesting, and I hope that dude keeps doing it, because it's cool. You don't hear that deep of stats breakdowns that dude's doing, and he clearly does way crazy amounts of research to do that show, so it must be super burdensome, I would imagine, having a show that requires a lot of research. I know how that goes, so... Yeah, I do want to give that dude a shout out, but I think our top 5 is definitely Eugene S. Robinson, Showstopper, Protect Your Neck, MMA Vivisection, and Show Money. I'm going to go ahead and say Show Money has to be in the top 3.
Okay.
I will fucking fist fight you if it's not in the top 3. So, we'll add that one up.
I'd say after that, I'd probably say. I want to go Fights Gone By in Vivisection, but Protect Your Neck also kind of is a little.
Yeah, I would probably go Vivisection over Fights Gone By.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I think Eugene S. Robinson's Showstopper probably has to be on here.
Yeah.
Just because, again,
Let's go those three then.
he's the only motherfucker that was talking about the Connor charges before they
Well,
were.
yeah, he would literally
before
say just non-hesitantly, and he just like right off the bat.
The
He's
only
like, hey guys, let's talk about
motherfucker.
what's important.
Yeah, the only motherfucker in MMA media who will go out of his way to say that.
Yeah, I would wager he is the only one.
Dude, if he's not, he's one of maybe two. Like, it was him, and then, like, I think Mike Russell touched on it, but didn't really go hard. I know Michael Fidel did some stuff, but didn't go super hard. There's the other dude that I always forget the name of. Fuck. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, Eugene was the clearest and the most loud about it. And Eugene is also the reason why I don't think we're going to be saying Irish Sports Star's name on next week's episode when we cover that card. I don't really care to talk about that fight.
You're going to hate me right now. I guess I should probably give my pick because I have to not only go to the bathroom again because I'm drinking a lot of beer, I have to get some coffee because I'm falling asleep.
That works.
And just being honest. So, do you want me to go ahead and take my winner? Or
so what's the third you would put up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we was Show Money, Eugene's, and I think I would go.
It's either, I would say it's probably either Vivisection or Protect Your Neck.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go Protect Your Neck.
I could see that.
Actually, yeah. I was kind of hesitant. I was like maybe Vivisection because Protect Your Neck Dan gets into the gambling stuff, which I don't really have too much interest in.
Right.
I am interested when it's as far as like putting together parlays, and I like seeing angles and trust me, I'm not a gambler by any means. You would have known this if I was.
Right. I feel like Dan Tomdo does a lot of really quality research on camps that people are with.
Yeah, and he always mentions the fight camps, the teams, the gyms.
That's hard stuff to research because a lot of that he just pulls off Instagram from like where they're hanging out.
I'll leave it at that. I will try to make this quick, man. I apologize again, but then again, this podcast we're doing tonight is literally like going to be 2.5 times the length of 2 times the length we normally do.
Yeah, it always is going to be. It's kind of.
I will be right back.
Cool, mute. Yeah, mute and you're good. So I don't know if Chris knows this yet, but Show Money's definitely winning this category, right? I mean, it's not close. I would like to give it to Eugene S. Robinson Show Stomper because Eugene is the motherfucker who will speculate and will talk about kind of ear to the ground type shit. I feel like it's his punk background, which I respect the fuck out of because I came up the same way. Although a decade, probably 2 decades later. But it's Show Money. It's fucking Show Money. Nobody else is covering the case. They're talking about literally the regression models about like how the lawyers are arguing this case. It's so in depth. I've learned basically all of finances. I understand only because of this. It's so clearly the most informative show. It's upsetting. This category was essentially made for this show to win every time. If they continue doing this show, we might have to just retire the category or name it after them. It's Show Money. And also, motherfucking Jason Cruz drinking triple handy on it. It's also really fun, actually. I know it sounds dry. It's a lot of, like, so in-depth, like, insanely in-depth discussions about what the fuck is going on with so many different parts of the system of how MMA works that it gets very deep in the mud and it's very hard. Like a lot of these episodes I had to go back and listen to a couple times just kind of understand like, okay, pre-Strike Force, but post Strike Force, but pre-acquisition, like that kind of weird stuff where it's or like fighter pay for certain periods of time versus again regression models. All that stuff is I'm not even trying to explain any of it. I'm just name dropping things they've talked about because I am in no way qualified to talk about any of it. But it's fucking fascinating, and I've learned more about the business side of the sport from them than I have from just about anybody. Also, John Nash was proved pretty much right this week that fighter pay is around 20% of net revenue. I'm probably fucking that up. Revenue might be the wrong word. income. See, I don't know the financial definitions of these words, so I don't want to butcher them. But 100%, Show Money is the most informative podcast that you'll listen to. It doesn't come out very regularly. It kind of just comes out when it's appropriate or when it's needed. They did a 3-day. They basically did a podcast for every day of the proceedings in Vegas, which was fascinating, and I can't recommend highly enough. We have them linked on our whichever podcast we talked about them on. But man, it's just kind of unprecedented how smart and how well done that show is. So I highly recommend it. And then also, yeah, like I said, Eugenius Robinson Showstopper and Protect Your Neck are both fantastic as well. And for all the podcasts that we're talking about, just because we don't necessarily pick them doesn't mean that we don't recommend them, because all of these are good. That's why they're nominated. Oh, all right. So we are finally getting into the last couple bits here. I think I see shadows of Chris coming back, so that's good. I am going to give Chris a chance to rebuttal and choose whether or not he agrees with Show Money as the winner, but like I said earlier, I'll fucking fist fight him if he disagrees, because I really have to pull with Show Money. So, Chris, I hope you agree that Show Money is the winner of the most informative podcast.
Yes, because it dives down into, like you said, court-related stuff, a lot of different pending cases, a lot of number-breaking, number-crunching. Shows you kind of how pay-per-view points work. I agree.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting, I also should have mentioned this off the top, but it's hosted by John Nash, who is the financials analyst for Bloody Elbow. It's also hosted by Paul Gift, who works for Forbes as a financials analyst, I believe.
Oh, that's a thing. I mean,
and then Jason Cruz, who is a lawyer. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's literally like if you were to bring together a super group of fucking super smart dudes who should be getting paid way more to do the things they're doing in MMA, that's probably the three. So I can't recommend it highly enough. All right, up next we are finally to Best Episode, which I'm very excited about. Holy shit, there's some bangers on this list.
Okay, there's a lot of these here. I guess I'll just go ahead and name these.
Yeah, start naming the best episodes while I take a quick pee break and mute my microphone.
All right, so Best Episode nominees for our SOV Podcast Awards 2019. Collapsed MMA, Shine Fights 3, Part 1. That's a thing. Menace and the Man, Episode 15 with Ashley Evans Smith. Two Straws, the podcast hosted by Angie Hill and Jessica Penne, featuring Jake Ellenberger. Let's see. Look at the formatting here, guys. Cult Main Event Podcast, Day of Reckoning, live stream. Uncle Hanacha's Valetudo Hour, Episode 14 with Anthony Smith, I think also known as the Light Skin Edition, where if you ask Uncle Hanach, he was interviewing biracial or light-skinned African-American fighters. TSN MMA Show, Episode 70 with Derek Lewis and Justin Buckles. Coast to Coast Combat Hour, Entered the Wonder Boy. Co-Main Event Podcast, Episode 345 with, they call him Easy Dos Santos. I think it's Elizu Zaleski. I see Zaleski. Okay, never mind. And their post-fight speech consulting surveys. I don't know. I'm just reading a script, you guys, on the spreadsheet. The Joe Rogan Experience MMA Show, Episode 63 with Jorge Masvidal. And this was after he knocked out Darren Till. I watched this recently. Very good episode. Spoiler alert. MMA Vivisection UFC Fort Lauderdale episode. Phone Booth Fighting, Episode 233 with Jesse Jess. Beatdown After the Bell, Invicta Phoenix Rising Series 1 with Angie Hill. Joe Rogan Experience MMA Show, episode 67 with Kevin Lee, another good one.
Yo, Joe Rogan had some fucking bangers this year.
He did. MMA Depressed Us, Colossal Megapunk Show. So I listened to this one, or I watched it, excuse me, but I didn't have the...
The fights pulled up?
Yeah.
Because this is the show that they do that's like Mystery Science Theater style, essentially.
Yes.
And it's still really good without him, but it's
I was still entertained. I kind of had an idea of what was going on. They were talking about that one guy, something Thompson, and the guy was like the best at like...
James the Colossus Thompson.
Yes. That guy. Submission Radio, episode 190 with
Submission Radio.
Fucking
Jimmy fucking Crute, not here to fuck spiders.
Yeah, Ralph Lorenzon, Luke Rockhold, Colby Covington, Demetrius Johnson, Jimmy Crute, and Sini Podcasts.
Sini? Fucking Shawnee, dog.
Oh, see how I just don't even read that? That's just fucking hilarious. And I was like, excuse me, Shawnee Podcast, Sean Shin, who I believe gave us a shout out, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, this was actually, so we might have to disqualify this episode.
We kind of have to.
Yeah, we got a big shout out in it. But to be fair, I was re-listening to this episode, and I was like, oh, this is definitely a fucking top, this is top 10 material. And then I heard the shout out for us, and I was like, fuck!
Dude, it's funny. I rewatched it again. I'm like, what the fuck was the shout out? And I kept rewinding it. I can't find it.
It's there. It's
I know it's there because I heard it.
It's right at the beginning of Shawnee's segment. He straight up jumps. He's like, you know what? By the way, there's these guys, Sound of Alice podcast. And, fucking obviously much love to Sean Sheehan. I just love the shit he puts out, so it's cool. But that was a great episode.
Yeah. Though. The Phone Booth Fighting, episode 240 with Jesse Jess, Sadiq
Yusuf.
Sadiq Yusuf. I was going to say Yusuf Sadiq. James Vick and Kevin Holland. Yep. Show Money Special Edition Antitrust Lawsuit, Day 1.
Shouts out to the Triple Hennessy.
Fights Gone By with your boy Jack Slack, episode 163, the Habib versus Poirier preview.
That was also the Valentina clip episode, I believe.
Yes, the parched. Let's say the parched listeners.
Yeah.
Submission Radio, episode 242 preview with Sean Sheehan.
Another very solid one.
If I Did It, Dublin, December 14th.
Yeah.
MMA Stories, The Wild Wild Midwest Days.
Yep.
Co-main event podcast, episode 373, Marshmallow Fight Club
it's Marshmallow Club? Fighting Championship, where Chad Dundas pitched the idea that everyone should fight with marshmallows on the end of their hands. This was right after the...
And you misspelled marshmallow, but that's me being a grammar whore. So.
All right, well, I'll be... Here, is this better?
Here, watch this. No.
I'll type in how it's spelled.
There you go. I was about to be a dick and just did it for you.
Yeah. It's said marshmallow. It's
can I have some marshmallows?
Yeah. Although I will shout out the fact that Chad Dundas did want to start a fighting championship. It was right after the Yair fight, if I remember right.
Or as Chael would say, Yair.
Yeah, where Chad wants everyone to put marshmallows on the end of their fingers, and then he says you gotta really be careful with the heavyweights, though.
You could have used that with Stipe versus DC too.
Yeah, the problem is DC would have ate a lot of the marshmallows. So.
Yeah. Makes sense. Let's keep going. MMA Roadshow, episode 263 in Australia in a bar with Ben Folks, Oscar Willis, and Submission Radio.
That fucking episode 50.
Episode 59 with Graham Boylan and Patty Houlihan.
Really?
Severe MMA, episode 237. Shawnee is buzzed, and they shout out podcast recommendations.
Super good.
Well, actually, you said deep stuff with Bro. Did you go excuse me, goddamn it, Del Campo?
Yeah, that was the episode where they had a lot of discussion about mental health and stuff like that. It was really interesting.
That's important, especially in combat sports. Yeah. Between the Links, episode 26 with Buster Bluth. Just kidding. Aaron Bronstetter.
Fucking fire. That shit was fire. You guys heard 2 clips from that show. It's so good.
Yes. Joe Rogan Experience MMA Show, episode 82 with Israel Adesanya. Joe Rogan Experience MMA, episode 85 with Max Holloway. And If I Did It, the Irish athlete, Irish superstar strikes again. Again?
Yeah, strikes again.
As we're surprised. As if we're surprised.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised you get 3 fucking assault charges in the same year. 4?
It's called You Gotta Lawyer Up.
Yeah. That motherfucker needs to start paying out is what he needs to start doing. So I kind of cheated going into this because these are so hard to keep track of the little details on. I put stars next to the ones I think should move up. And I think, here, we'll go through them one by one. Collapse MMA Shine Fights 3 Part 1. Holy fucking shit. This is one of... So I'm moving this one up just to talk about it more, if nothing else. This is one of the craziest cards you'll ever hear. It was canceled twice. One time, they had to go to court and fight Oscar De La Hoya for one of... to get... is it Maidana that was supposed to be on the card fighting... Was it Dean Thomas or Eve Levine? Not Eve Levine. Eve Edwards? I think it was Eve Edwards. Jesus fucking Christ. What a goddamn crazy thing. There's just a billion stories like that. They, in 3 different states, they didn't pay the, in 3 different states, they didn't pay the bills or the sanctioning stuff they needed to like put the money on file so they could actually hold the fucking event. It's ridiculous. And then you listened to JRE MMA Show 63 with Masvidal, right?
Yes, I did. It was really good.
Yeah, it was fire, right? Like, it was a very wound up Masvidal. This was pre-Ben Askren, post-Till KO.
That reminds me, next time I have some pizza, I'm going to eat it Masvidal style. Do you know what I'm talking
about? Did he double stack it?
So basically, you just take, 2 slices, cheese side up, and you literally just flip it upside down and stack it on top like it's some sort of like sandwich. Yeah.
That's what's up.
I'm trying to think though, because dude, like I was at Petco Park yesterday, right? I went to, was it yesterday? What was yesterday? Yesterday was Saturday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
See, I'm delirious. I've been. Well, I don't have to be.
See, I know where you've been.
Yeah, you've known what I've been doing. Anyways, yeah, dude, pizza port. I forgot how fucking fire like some of their pizza is. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was very inebriated, but I was like, damn, dude, this is real good.
I went to Pizza Port actually just 2 weeks ago. The OB one. When I went to see, I saw fucking Andy Andrist. I actually have a Mormon Bible over there that I bought off of him. Saw fucking Andy Andrist and Brett Erickson of the Issues with Andy podcast down here in San Diego, and they went and got pizza afterwards. Fucking hilarious.
Oh, that reminds me too. Damn, someone was telling me at my work too. You know who was in a concert site in San Diego? I don't know if you're a big like progressive rock fan. I know this is.
This is shocking, but because I am a white dude, but no, I'm not. Not at all.
It's the clues. It's Nate Diaz's favorite band.
Oh God! So fucking. Oh God! What's the?
It's not Deftones.
Oh my God, that was the one I was thinking of.
No.
That's hilarious.
No, it's Tool.
Yes. Of course it is. Those were literally the 2 I was thinking of. I was like, oh shit, what were those CDs I had in my Walkman in 1997?
No, I'm dead serious. That's literally his favorite band.
No, I know. I literally was
thinking I like Tool. Like
I do too. The fucking bassist is incredible.
Yeah, Trevor was telling me he saw them last year. He said it was nuts. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I saw they were at STSU tonight, and I was like asking someone like, wait, please tell me they're at open air theater. And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Tool's
dope. You gotta.
They're a musician band though. They're like they're a fighter's favorite. Like,
yeah,
they're like a band's band.
Most music, if you're in a venue that's indoors and the sound's not good, it's just not worth it. You got to be outside. That's just my opinion.
Depends on excuse me. Depends on the type of music. Like punk music does not belong outside.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Also, shouts out to the Cheap Sex DVD. I should probably qualify that. Shouts out to the Cheap Sex The Band DVD that I got recently. Which, oh my God, Mike Virus, while he may be a dick and while he may have been a dick to me when I was a little kid, God damn it, is that fucking... I fucks with Cheap Sex. One might say I'm a whore for Cheap Sex. That's a deep reference that no one's going to get except for, well, probably no one, actually. But it's a great shirt. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Valley Tudo Hour, episode 14 with Anthony Smith. Do you think that one has to move up?
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it probably does. It was really good.
I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
Well, and that was the part one of the what is it? What did he call it? Half Black Month.
He called it the light skinned awareness month.
Yeah, light skinned awareness month. Part one.
No. Light skin history month.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's an extension of the Black History Month.
Yeah, part one was Anthony Smith, and part two was
Eric Anders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really fucking funny. And Anthony Smith, I guess a lot of people don't know he's half black. I don't know. We've talked about it on the show a bunch. But yeah, it's a fucking great episode, and you learn a crazy amount about Anthony Smith during that. Yeah. It's actually, honestly, one of the most honest podcasts you'll ever hear from Hanach as well. Like, he almost drops character a couple times talking about real shit. Yeah. He's like, when I was growing up in New York, I mean, you know, the streets of Hio that are like New York. Like, yeah. Dude, that is almost not at all in character.
Yeah, I think he was like, I was going by the trees near Hio.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's real good. Joe Rogan MMA show, episode 67 with Kevin Lee, I think has to be on there.
Yeah, you got to.
Because it was like so transformative, not only for Kevin Lee, but it was he was brutally honest about his performance against RDA in a way that I think just has to be on there. I have MMA Depressed, the Colossal Megapunk. Do you think that one needs to make it?
I'll let you decide, only because I didn't actually even see any of the.
Well, then you know what? We'll leave that one as a buffer. Submission Radio. Oh, that's right. We're not here to fuck spiders, but we're not here to put on podcasts where they talk about us. So we're gonna cut that one, unfortunately. It's so fucking good, though, you guys. It doesn't.
No. That's the 242 one.
No.
Right?
No. It was 190.
Oh, because I thought Sean Sheehan was on the 242.
See, that is why you didn't hear the clip of us getting shouted out. Is because it was on 190 with.
So he's on what? Okay, that's why I'm so confused.
It was the one with Luke Rockhold and Jimmy Crute saying he's on the not here to fuck spiders world tour. It's a great fucking episode, but since we get shouted out, we're gonna disqualify it just out of fucking being goddamn respectful and having some goddamn integrity. I know, weird, right? We're talking about a bunch of shows and MMA reporters, and we're actually having integrity. To be fair, most of the ones we're shouting out do have integrity.
And that's to be fair, just like they say in South Park, it's important to have integrity.
That's right. Show Money Special Edition Antitrust Lawsuit Day 1, 100% on here. If for no other reason, I mean, I was gonna, if we could do the special edition antitrust lawsuits as if we combined all 3 days into one, if we counted it as one, I would think this would win, but that's not really fair. They released them as separate episodes, so I picked my favorite one, which is Day 1, where fucking Jason Cruz drinks a triple Hennessy, and I mean, it's already very informative and very interesting and funny, but even funnier when Jason Cruz gets hammered, and then I believe this is the same episode where John Nash tries to explain regression models to the waitress at the restaurant they're at recording, and she is not interested in hearing about it. So I thought that was fun. Submission Radio UFC 242 preview with Sean Sheehan was really good. I'm gonna move that one up for now. If I did it, Dublin, December 14th, really fucking good. This is the one where a lot of the news broke about the second well, you can call it the second allegation. It's the Irish athlete gets blowjob in a car by force story, which is what it was surrounding it. And it was, again, the Eugene Robinson and his shows being the only ones to consistently address this stuff the day and date of it, if not beforehand. So I think it belongs on there. I will. So where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 3 spaces left for 10. I'm going to move MMA Stories, the Wild Wild Midwest Days up there. I don't know if it's going to end up making it in the long run, but god damn it, is it a good episode. If you guys are at all around during the old school days of people like, Monty Cox and Jeremy Horn, to be honest, the two hosts, but also people like Jen Howe or
So wait,
James
are
Pulver.
these 10 that we're choosing from for best episode, or is that?
I'm just trying to narrow it down into like a manageable list.
Okay.
And then MMA Roadshow, the fucking episode John Morgan did in a bar in Australia with Ben Folks, Oscar Willis, and Submission Radio, absolutely has to be on there. Because it was really goddamn good. And then what else is like... I feel like there's one or two more of these that we need to have on there before we start breaking this down further.
If you had to choose, I know Joe Rogan's podcast is already up there a bunch. You could do the Adesanya one.
Yeah, it is already on there twice.
Unless you want to have oversaturation. Other than that...
I think you're right. I think the Adesanya one is the one to put on there. It was really fucking good. I will say, though, that the rest of these episodes are all fantastic. Every single episode we're talking about are all so fucking good. I don't want
Maybe just stop here.
Yeah, I don't want to go through all of them again, but Menace and the Man, such a strong episode. The fucking, these are all really, really good. The actually deep stuff with Rodrigo Campo, I cannot recommend enough, as well as also Between the Links 26 with Aaron Bronson are goddamn so good. I think this gets cut down into 3 pretty easily. Which, if you were to pick 3 of these top handful, what would you lean towards? The top 10.
Damn. So you said 3 out of these top 10?
Yeah.
I'll do Jerry with George Masvidal. If I Did It, and MMA Roadshow, Australia in a Bar.
I definitely 100% agree with MMA Roadshow. That one's a given. Boy. So, I think we have to pick a Rogan episode, because all of these are such good Rogan episodes that I feel like not picking one is not fair. I would almost lean Kevin Lee over Jorge Masvidal, though.
Yeah, I can see that.
Only because Kevin Lee was so fucking brutally honest during that. I think I gotta lean Kevin Lee. How do you feel about doing that over Jorge Masvidal?
No, I like that one.
All right. And then we need one more. Man, I really want to lean Show Money, but I don't know if that's... I don't know. If I Did It, the Dublin episode is really good. I'm kind of between those two.
I'd go with If I Did It.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I love Jason Cruz being shit-faced off a triple Hennessy. I understand why If I Did It would make the cut on that one. So between these 3, I'm gonna be honest. I think we go to the MMA Roadshow.
Yeah.
It's between that and the Kevin Lee episode. I really like the Kevin Lee episode, but that fucking episode they did in Australia for the Robert fight in a bar with Ben Folks, Oscar Willis, and Submission Radio is so good, and it's so on brand for what that show is. I think that has to be our episode. All right. So our winner for best episode of the year is MMA Roadshow, episode 263, in Australia in a bar with Ben Folks, Oscar Willis, and Submission Radio hosts Dennis and Casper. With runners-up, JRE MMA Show, episode 67 with Kevin Lee, and If I Did It, Dublin, December 14th. That's a good list.
All right, so this brings us to
a really tough one.
Best New Show. The nominees being Level Change Podcast, the Mookie and Crookie Show, Funky FRB Show,
I believe it's technically Funky and FRB.
and FRB Show, Fits in a Fighter, Our MMA Show, A-Side Live Chat with Jose Youngs, The Man and the Myth, Morning Combat. I think that's the Thomas one. Him and David Home, right? No.
Jesus like Christ. Okay, sorry about that, you guys.
Fight Court with King Mo, Rose Point Blank on The Athletic, Gorgeous George and Gary Show.
Sorry about the talking in the background.
Weighing in, well, actually, MMA Stories, and the final nominee being Between the Links.
Yeah, and these are all in the order that we talked about them. You can just leave it. Sorry. So, let's see. Jesus, sorry, I got super confused because something got punted over here and broke. Jesus, sorry, I got super distracted. Chris, you want to start narrowing these down while I refocus?
Yeah, I'll say the ones I think that we'll probably just go with like 5 out of these. I like the Mookie and Crookie Show for sure. It's actually ironic. You've listened to more of these than I have. I like our MMA show. I've listened to A-Side Live Chat. I listened to like one of Morning Combat. Other than that, I didn't listen to Fight Court. Didn't listen to Gross Point Blank. I don't have The Athletic. I'm not subscribed to that. Gorgeous George and Ghost, that's MMA Junkies. I listened to that a lot. Didn't listen to Weighing In. Damn, I didn't listen to shit, dude. I am slacking. Didn't listen to Well, actually. Yeah. So yeah, I can only really kind of choose what I've listened to. So definitely Mookie and Crookie for me, Level Change, Our MMA, those 3. But I'm just, yeah, I can't really speak on behalf of the other ones. It's actually kind of sad.
So,
I mean, A-Side Live Chatting, but yeah, I can't. I can only really speak upon like half of these.
Yeah, so the ones that stand out to me, what were your 3 again? Sorry, I was getting yelled at.
Well, to be fair, I've only listened to like half of these on here, so for me it was like Level Change, Mookie and Crookie, Our MMA, and like A-Side.
I think Our MMA and A-Side definitely. I don't know. I really like Mookie and Crookie and Level Change. I feel like they're still kind of finding their footing. Also, I should clarify for Level Change, they release on Fridays, and a lot of times we record on Fridays, which makes it tough for us to listen to. So that might be partially why I'm saying that too. 100%, I think 2 that absolutely have to be on this list are Well Actually, from Fernando Prochas, and Between the Links, which is the show hosted by Mike Heck is the main host, and then they have a revolving panel of guests for the Loudmouth MMA team, which is the network it's on. Generally, it's guys like Craig. I'm not going to say, I think it's Craig Allen. I'm not going to say, I guess I know most of their last names. Craig Allen, Keith Sheehan, John Franklin. I know I'm forgetting people, and now I'm going to feel bad about it. But those are like some of the main revolving casts, and they generally have an MMA media member on as well. Any of the rest of these? I would say, Fits in a Fighter is the other one I would say has to be on there. Because Brendan Fitzgerald has done some of the best interviews we've seen in MMA podcasting with him last year. That fucking we didn't talk enough about the Jessica I interview with Brendan Fitzgerald. Was that not on the list?
I think it was, but
was
actually,
it?
No, I don't
know. It wasn't on the list. I fucked up. God damn it. That might be the best episode this year. We're going back, Chris. Best episode.
Oh, no.
I think Brendan Fitzgerald with Jessica I is easily top 3.
I didn't listen to it, so yeah, I'll take your word for it.
It's at least replacing If I Did It.
There you go.
Is savage. I do not mean to. Oh my god. But it's better than the Australian bar episode. You know what? Fuck. I'm not happy with myself about this one. This is what happens when I get super distracted during a show with multiple fucking issues. I Okay, we're not going to change our winner because we already decided a winner. But I am replacing the If I Did It runner-up with Fits in a Fighter episode 14, 15. What's the episode here? I got it. I don't got it. Where is it? Here we go. Best episode nominees. It is Fits in a Fighter. Oh, boy. Hold on. One more link. It is episode 14 with Jessica I. God damn it, is that a good episode. So I'm really, really sorry if I did it. I feel very bad right now about that. You literally just got robbed, and I 100% deserve all the scorn. That was my fucking bad. But Fits in a Fighter was really good.
Yeah. Let's see, where was I? Sorry, I know you. It was important that you.
Yeah, I just realized we fucking did not include that, and that was by far one of my top favorites. Anyway, back to this. So sorry, you were saying which? Oh, you've only heard a couple of these, right?
Yeah, like half of them.
I would say we have talked so much about A-Side Live Chat throughout the year. I think that probably has to be on there.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, we've talked about that almost every week that it's been around, especially since Jose Young took over and started inviting MMA media members on. I didn't mean to just put that in runner-up. I meant to put that up.
Maybe just make Fits in the Fighter the episode he said the best new show because he had your favorite episode, one of your favorite ones.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna add If I Did It back to the list, and we're gonna have 3 for that category.
So maybe do like that as the winner and runner-up again, the RMMA show.
You really want to put RMMA show on there? You think that one's up there?
I don't know. I've always just found Jimmy Smith to be pretty informative.
Me
that's
too.
Just being informative. So
yeah. Well, I'm
really still kind of bummed that they got rid of him. Well, they didn't really get. Well, they got rid of him in the sense of that, hey, we're not renewing your contract thing.
Right. It's definitely up there. I guess I'm just trying to narrow these down because this is like a fucking. These are honestly some of my favorite shows of the year in general, not just new shows. So it's really tough. I think Well actually has to be on there. Nobody's doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like Fernanda Proches is putting out content that nobody is doing. Because I can't name a show that's even close to that show. That's just having like hard discussions about the sport and the state of it and like the people involved and then just kind of the conversation that's happening around it. And then, so you're saying our MMA show or our MMA show?
Yeah, it could be like a runner-up.
Yeah.
If not, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, it should. You're supposed to fight me on this stuff if you really want it on there.
Then again, it's unfair to you, though, because I only listen like half the stuff that's on here, so I don't really have a good argument.
True. Man, I honestly would rather put Between the Links or Fits in a Fighter on there.
There you go. Yeah, put Fits in the Fighter on there then, because that one episode you still liked a lot.
Between the Links is fucking fire, but I feel like that show's going to be better next year than it is this year, because they're, again, still kind of, I mean, they're only 20-something episodes in, maybe 30 at this point, so, yeah. I say we move Fits in a Fighter up. So then our top 3 are A-Side Live Chat with Jose Youngs, Well Actually, and Fits in a Fighter. And I think Well Actually takes it.
There you go.
Do you have any argument against it?
No.
Mostly just because, Well Actually, nobody's doing that. It's a show that's so needed in the sport.
Well, that's what you need. You need that uniqueness too. You need a different take on something.
Well,
it brings not only already people who are listening to certain MMA podcasts, but newer listeners as well too. And that's the kind of stuff I feel like that. I don't want to say it goes against the grain, but
It absolutely does. It's conversations that no one is having on podcasts, and that's so rare in this sport, that people are having unique conversations, much less challenging conversations that are not necessarily popular. Like, I don't agree with Fernanda a lot of the time, but I always find it interesting to hear her take on stuff, because it's wildly different from mine, as you would expect, because we've had wildly different experiences. So I just think it's really important what she's doing, and I think I want to give it some shine. So that means our best new show, the winner is Well Actually by Fernanda Proches on
Congratulations.
The Athletic, with runners-up A-Side Live Chat with Jose Youngs and Fits and a Fighter. Those are 3 fucking great shows.
Cool. So that brings us to
my gosh,
our best show of the year, which we're going
That's
to narrow
right.
down to a top 10. I will just start reading these off because I'm dying right now.
Please do.
But A-Side Live Chat.
These are our nominees, to be clear, about our top 10 MMA shows of the year.
Between the Links, Co-Main Event Podcast, Eurobash, Fights Gone By, Fits and a Fighter, Grange TV, Gross Point Blank, Heavy Hands, If I Did It, Joe Rogan Experience MMA Show, The Man and the Myth, MMA Depressed Us, The MMA Roadshow, MMA Stories, MMA Vivisection, Our MMA Show, Phone Booth Fighting, Protect Your Neck, Severe MMA, Show Money, Slip and Dip, Submission Radio, TSN MMA Show, and then finally, Well Actually.
Oh, man. So, man, these are all really good. And this, by the way, this list was culled down a lot. We went from essentially I think it was 90 plus or 100 plus shows that we talked about this year, and just kind of tried to cull them down to about 25 to 30.
I'll start marking, I guess, kind of what I think should be up there.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll mark it with this sign, whatever that means again. All right. Let's see that. Let's go with that one.
So you should say these out loud while you're doing them.
Oh, yeah, huh? I think that would help. So Jerry MMA Show, Grange TV, A-Side Live Chat. You all right?
Yeah, sorry, there's just some noise in the background.
Oh, cool. Well, actually, because they won Best New Show, that'd be a very offensive move if we didn't include this show on Best Overall Show, or up there at least. Let's see. Gotta go with our boy Shiny Podcast with Severe MMA.
Yep, I agree.
MMA Roadshow.
I agree.
I'm trying to choose between Vivisection or Heavy Hands. I think I'm going to go...
Both.
Why not? Yeah, both. Both makes it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 more. Ooh. Fuck.
I know, this is really hard.
I'd say Between the Links you liked a lot, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we got to do co-main first off.
Yeah,
right?
So that's 9, so 1 more.
Well, and so we can get to 15 and cut them from there if we need to. Yeah, I think co-main has to be on that list.
Submission Radio.
Yeah.
They're pretty active all year.
Yeah, they were.
We mentioned.
God, sorry, I'm so distracted. This is awful timing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boy. Okay, well, let's start moving some of those up. Just kind of get a fucking...
I'll let you do that because you have the keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, let's get a fucking dividing line, and then we can have further conversations from there. Sorry, I am having a lot of chaos over here, which is not preferred. It's sure not helping the speed of this process. Christ. Oh my god. Sometimes. Some fucking times.
Let's see. I'd probably say our MMA show. Maybe get some something 11.
I would almost take
Yeah.
Protect Your Neck over our MMA show.
Yeah, let's do Protect Your Neck.
Alright. Who else needs to be on here?
TSN MMA, just because of Braun Center stuff that you saying, like the
I don't
Nick
know
Diaz thing.
Yeah, well, that was really good. But that wasn't his show. I like Braun Center's show, but it's pretty interview heavy.
That's right.
And Bazooka Joe Valtellini's not always on there either, so it's kind of, I feel like that show can be hit or miss depending on guest and or topic and or fight card and or a bunch of things. Let's see. I think Fits in a Fighter needs to be in the conversation. Sorry, I keep getting distracted.
Pardon? Let's see.
Sorry, where are we?
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 nominees so far.
Fucking goddamn it. Sorry, I have a very upset girlfriend.
It's all good.
Who I am trying to deal with during the show, unfortunately.
If anything, if you want to, we'll just go with these nominees and just start numbering our top 10.
I mean, I feel like that's probably about right. We should have discussions around these other ones quickly. Believe You Me is really good. I don't think it cuts it compared to these other ones.
Yeah,
it's also very hit or miss. Between the Links, fucking incredible show. But I do think it's going to get better.
If I did it as kind of topic heavy, if it's something that Eugene or all of them could collaborate on, then it works really well. But if not, sometimes it's kind of like filler to me, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner.
No, for sure, I got you. Eurobash is really good, but again, it can be kind of guest dependent. Same with Fights Gone By, can be card dependent. Gross Point Blank, Josh has been doing some really, really good work over at the Athletic. And I'm excited to see more from him. I just don't know if that stacks up against the rest of these. Same with Man and the Myth, which is the podcast on the Athletic hosted by Sean Al-Shadi and Chuck Mendenhall. Really, really good. They've been putting out some super strong content this year. I just don't know that it hangs with these top ones. MMA Depressed Us, that's tough because it's never... because it's by definition only recorded on weeks without shows, without big UFC shows, then it's always kind of only going to have a couple episodes a year thanks to the UFC schedule. So everyone blame the UFC for that one. MMA Stories with Jeremy Horn and Monty Cox. Man, it's really, really fucking good. I feel like it probably could be top 10 if more people listen to it. But you haven't heard enough of it, I don't think, for us to put it on there. Our MMA show is really good. We talked about it. I really enjoy it. Phone Booth Fighting had some incredible episodes. Their recording schedule has been a little bit up in the air. Also depends on when Frank's around, when Hunter's around, when guests are around. Show Money, again, kind of a here and there podcast. I do think it's one of the best podcasts around. However, with their release schedule, I don't know that it hangs with some of these just straight killers that we have. And then Slip and Dip with Matthew Wells and Kendrick.
Yep.
Such a good show. Again, it can be a little guest dependent. They also do a bit more boxing talk than I necessarily than I think qualifies for this kind of MMA podcast format.
That's a good point.
Which is why I wouldn't include them, because a lot of times it's boxers that are on there, which I still really enjoy the interviews, and they're really good interviews with boxers, but it's I think compared to the rest of these, I think there's some more MMA focused stuff. And then TSN MMA show is really good, but again, we talked about it. So, all right, so where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have to cut 2 from this list. Here, I'll recap again. Right now, for the 12, we have the A-Side Live Chat, Co-Main Event Podcast, Fits and a Fighter, Grange TV, Heavy Hands, GRE MMA Show, the MMA Road Show, the MMA Vivisection, Protect Your Neck, Severe MMA, Submission Radio, and Well Actually. God damn it, this is fucking tough.
I'd say you really either Heavy Hands or Vivisection. I know we've kind of decided.
Really?
But I don't know. Is it fair to have 2 of them?
I mean, yeah, different hosts. I mean, Connor's the only constant between those two.
And the shows are 2 different styles, so
I think we can go with Fits and a Fighter.
Yeah.
He has some of the best episodes of the year. But again, first off, that show's very young, so I'm excited to see what comes from it. But I think part of it is also guest dependent because of the nature of it, where it's just him sitting down with the fighter and talking for a long time.
I could almost, as much as I like Dan Tom, a lot of this stuff kind of went off on gambling and casino talk, and sometimes I'd find myself distracted.
and sometimes just talking about his grandma in Hawaii. And
that's fine. I don't mind that.
I like it all, but yeah.
Yeah, I like it, but that'd be my pick for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's fair.
If not that, I'd be leaning, and I like Submission Radio a lot. That's still not fair. They always have great interviews, though.
Yeah. I'll do Dan Tom. Dan Tom put out some fucking great content this year, though. If there was a number 11 spot, Dan Tom is clearly in that number 11 spot.
I agree.
And it could be argued that he should be on here.
Yeah, let's work our way up. Who's the number 10 spot?
Well, so let's try and make a divide in this list between the bottom half and the top half. So right now, for our top 10 in no particular order or in alphabetical order, we have A-Side Live Chat, Co-Main Event Podcast, Grange TV, Heavy Hands, JRE MMA Show, the MMA Road Show, the MMA Vivisection, Severe MMA, Submission Radio, and Well Actually.
So let's do it in thirds. So you go I guess you go 8 through 10, and 5 through 7,
like 3 at a time,
or some shit like that. 1 through 4, and it doesn't really add up. But
or I guess like that and like that. Oop.
And the next right, yeah,
like that.
Or just do 4. Just I guess 4 through 7, 8 through 10, and then the top 3 obviously being the top 3. I know it's not even, but. So number 10.
I think. So what's one podcast you would move to the top?
As in, say top 5.
Top 3.
Honestly, Grange TV only because you see a really good relationship with the fighter and the head coach.
Really,
that's not serious and it's more. It's just a relaxed setting. I like it. It was new and refreshing to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
JRE, you kind of have to. Dude, 3 of our top shows were 3 of his guests.
True, but I feel like 3. Some of those are so fucking such misses because of Brendan Schaub.
Yeah,
which should be factored in.
Overall as a whole.
Yeah,
evaluated. Yeah,
I would actually move JRE to the bottom of the list because it's super hit or miss.
MMA Roadshow, usually he's consistent. I think he was one of our top guys last year or something like that.
Yeah.
Submission Radio, I think, is always consistently on here. I know you're a big fan of. Well, actually, I've still never listened to her podcast, which is hilariously sad. So maybe put that in the top 3.
I don't know if we should put it in top 3 if you haven't listened to it. Okay. I love that show and I think it's important. But if you haven't listened to it and it's a show top list, I think that should probably be towards the bottom.
I'd say then the top 3 put A-Side. Because I always have rotating guests. Yeah, why not?
See, so if I was to do, well, we should start this off here. Let's just do 5 and 5.
To me, it works better when you start from the bottom. But that's just me.
Let's start from the bottom.
If you're trying to start in the top 3, then you're
just
like
the bottom 5.
Yeah.
I would say I think I can agree that, well, actually, since you haven't listened to it, can be in the bottom 5.
Maybe put it like at 7 or some shit or 6.
Sure. Yeah. Well, right now
Like
we'll
middle
put
bot.
it
I don't know.
there.
Um,
I think that's 8 for right now.
well, I guess you could start numbering it, right? God,
I
well,
mean,
I guess
it's
before
still
you number
moving
it.
so much. I don't want to have to keep redoing it. I think Jerry MMA show should move to the bottom 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Here, let me get rid of these symbols.
Isn't that symbol like yen?
I think
in
so,
Japan?
something like that.
Yeah.
Man. So this is the part of the podcast where you guys listen to Chris and I think out and try and do it out
a lot
loud.
of long pauses.
Yeah, seriously.
Breathing.
Is there anybody you would move from the top 5 down to the bottom 5 and swap? I don't know. There is. I kind of like the top 5.
I kind of like that top 5 and bottom 5.
Okay, so let's try and narrow down this bottom 5 then. I like Jerry MMA show as.
Let's put it number 10.
Yeah, I like that as number 10. He had some incredible episodes, but Jesus, some of those Brendan Schaub episodes. And also sometimes he has people on that aren't MMA related, like boxers.
Number 9, I think I put Vivisection.
See, I would do well, actually.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because I haven't listened to that, so I guess technically it's unfair if I go off nothing. But
yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, I love well, actually, a whole lot. But I think if we're doing a combined show top 10 and you haven't listened to it, I can only argue it up so much without it being unfair.
And then, you know what, submission, or do you want to interchange out with severe? What are you thinking? Because I could put Vivisection number 6.
Man, yeah, that 3 is tough because they're all really good. I kind of like that order.
Yeah, let's keep it at that. So 6 through 10 is good. Now we got to do the top 5.
A-Side Live Chat needs to move down.
Yeah, I'd put that at probably number 5.
What if we swapped? Yeah. What if? Okay, so A-Side Live Chat number 5. What if we moved Heavy Hands up and called this a fucking show?
Go it up one spot?
No.
Oh, to the top?
What if
Didn't that win last year?
I don't. Maybe.
I think so.
It's so fucking good.
I swear to God. Yeah, Heavy Hands. It doesn't matter. It's a repeat then. Fuck it.
I think honestly 1 and 2 might have been Heavy Hands and Co-Main last year as well. The problem is I can't make an argument to put anything over Heavy Hands or Co-Main.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
It's consistently good. That's not a problem with that.
So good.
I say let's wrap it up with this shit. This list is good, and just plug it into the 1 through 10.
You think so? So here, let's see how it feels. So
here, I'll start at the bottom, right?
Start at the bottom, number 10.
Number 10, we have Joe Rogan Experience MMA show. Number 9, we have, which is also our new best show of the year. Well, actually, with Fernando Prachas from The Athletic, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
Number 8 spot, we got Submission Radio from my boys Dan Anda.
That's right, Dennis and Casper.
Number 7, we have Severe MMA with Shawnee Podcast, Sean Sheehan, aka Shawnee Podcast. Number 6, we have MMA Vivisection, which features Zane Simon and Connor Rebush. Number 5, we got the A-Side Live Chat with Jose Youngs.
We should specify because both happened this year.
And rotating guests. Number 4, we got the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. Number 3, we have Grange TV with Robert Whitaker and his head coach, Fabricio. I forgot his last name. Fab. That's his, well, but you know, I can't remember his last name. But number 2, we got Ben Folks and Chad Dundas with Co-Main Event Podcast. And number 1, as the repeat champion of Best Podcast of the Year, Heavy Hands with Connor Rebush and Phil McKenzie.
I like it. You happy with it?
So congratulations to Heavy Hands for winning again.
That's
not that there's any sort of competition, but winning our awards, these Sound of Violence Podcast Awards, for Best Podcast of the Year.
That's right.
Or top. Just call it top podcast.
Yeah,
a lot of these are best.
The number 1 MMA podcast in 2019 is Heavy Hands. Man, all of these shows are incredible. Every show we talked about was incredible. We didn't even bother to mention ones we didn't think were incredible. So if you guys are...
Yeah, because didn't we do that last year? We named skips and wait, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, we did a catch, a skip, and a can't miss last year, but honestly, it ends up kind of just being repetitive as to what we already just did, and then it ends up being a lot of the same winners. So, although I'm gonna say if I had a can't miss this year, it would be actually, because I think people are missing it, and you cannot miss it. But yeah, I like that top 10. So yeah, heavy hands. Congratulations, Connor Rebush and Phil McKenzie going back to back on this shit. And
fucking repeat.
That's right. Well, we will go ahead and wrap this here. Thank God. It's only been 800 hours since we started this fucking thing.
Yeah, I think we started about 4.5 hours ago.
Oh, I know. Girlfriend Karen has let me know every 20 minutes that we are going way too long. But I always love these shows. They're never easy to get through. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. And I had a great time doing it. So big shouts out to all the podcasts out there. We do this show because we love MMA podcasts. The reason why I wanted to start the show with Chris in the beginning is because I wanted a show like this out there. There's too many fucking MMA podcasts to try and figure out what's good and what stuff you should listen to versus what's just a bunch of ads or not even about MMA. So that's why we do this. Is hopefully it's a helpful resource for everybody out there, and we love the content y'all be creating. So
yeah,
please keep doing it.
And this reminds me too. This is a month ago. I wrote I was gonna do an arc. I could still do it. I was gonna say it. Other MMA outlets have done 20 things I want to see in 2020, or they would say top 10. I said 20, but nothing but 20 is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's too much. So maybe I'll do something like that. One of them example is, in hindsight, I wrote, can Clarissa Shields actually make 145? She can't.
Spoiler.
Yeah, another one is, I said I'd like to see Bryce Mitchell getting his camo shorts. What else did I see? Habib versus Tony actually happening. I said John Jones at heavyweight. A lot of these are similar to what you're already. I said I hope they close women's 145 unless there's actual new challengers. I also said hashtag UFC Hawaii, hashtag UFC San Diego. Yeah, right. But you get the idea.
It'd be nice if they brought another fucking card down here. It's been 4 years? More than that.
Oh, this summer will be 5.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh, all right, everybody. Well, we love you for listening. These shows are fucking brutal.
Thank you again.
We get chewed out by significant others for doing them this in depth. So I hope you guys appreciate it. And I will have this all posted tomorrow, Monday. If you guys listen to the podcast version, that's when you're gonna hear it. We're gonna be tweeting out all the winners and all that stuff. But we just appreciate you listening. We love having you. And please, if there's any podcast we didn't talk about that we should have, if you guys have picks for what should have won for any of the categories or for the top 10, please let us know, because that's why we do this, is trying to learn about more dope podcasts that are being done in the MMA sphere. So please let us know all of the stuff that we are sleeping on. And I guess, Chris, we're going to wrap this here, and we will be back for the super dope UFC, what is it, 240 something?
246.
That's right.
Basically the card that, and I swear to you, I legitimately only know the main event, and that my cousin's fighting. Right. And I say that.
It's UFC 246, Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington, right?
Yes. Thank you. See, there's a third fight I know on that card.
I'm sorry. I thought that was the headliner.
You're right. No, I thought the headliner was my cousin fighting Lacey Barber.
Yeah. Oh, well, on that note, we will be back probably Friday-ish to record.
Yeah, I can do Friday night.
Yeah, we'll probably do that. And we will be talking about we'll be back to regular format. If you guys haven't listened to our show regularly, we each week talk about the MMA podcast. I guess probably should have said this at the top of the show. We talk about the MMA podcast to catch, skip, and not miss each week. And it's a fucking blast, man. I love doing this with you, Chris. This is always one of my favorite shows of the year.
Likewise.
It was absolutely a fucking hectic mess, but we kind of couldn't have it
we powered through it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of in our nature to do it that way.
Well, anyways, I'm going to go on. I am starving, so I'm going to go get some shitty, greasy fast food, probably. I just got to figure out where the fuck I'm going.
There you go. Well, good news is you have a bunch of really good
See,
Mexican places right near you.
that, and I ironically was thinking Chick-fil-A. I'm like, wait, but it's Sunday. I'm like, damn, Jesus doesn't eat chicken sandwiches on Sunday. I
Nah,
forgot.
but El Cotijan will fucking make you whatever you
Kotix
want
is
on
there,
Sunday.
Vallarta's there. Yeah, I got some options. I got In-N-Out. I mean, damn, dude. Like,
One hundo, dude.
yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, everybody, it's been a fun fucking 2019, even though we're technically in 2020. But you know what I mean. We love you. Keep making MMA podcasts. And we will see y'all next week. Till next time, everybody. Go do something decadent. We out. Late.